All right, what's going on, winners? Hey, Coach JC here, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Win All Day podcast show. Man, I'm bringing my guest on right now, Superman, because he makes me look good. This is my guy, Adam. Adam is in the house. Adam, before we kick this party off, we do something special here at Win All Day. We kick every podcast off with our Win All Day winning confession, and then we're going to jump in, introduce you, and get after it. But here's what we believe, Adam. We believe that if you want to live a life of winning, then you got to speak winning words. So if you're on the other side right now, you're watching or you're listening, then I need you to repeat after me. Today is my day. Nothing. Oh, I like it. Nothing will get in my way.
Nothing will get in my way.
Of me being the best.
Of me being the best.
Version of me.
Version of me.
I am here on purpose.
I'm here on purpose.
I have a purpose.
I have a purpose.
I am strong.
I am strong.
I am passionate.
I am passionate.
I am fearless.
I am fearless.
I choose faith.
I choose faith.
I am a winner.
I am a winner.
I will win.
I will win.
And win all day.
And win all day.
Yes, let's go, let's go, let's go. Man, I'm super stoked. And you know what? Most times, Adam, I don't think the guests always repeat it, and I don't make them repeat it, but you just jumped in and you started saying it, and I think I need to make that a staple moving forward. All the guests need to say it. Hey, guys, let's jump right in. This is Adam. This is my main man. We connected on social media, but I want to give you a quick little intro, Adam, and then I want you to kind of take us and back to how we got to where we are today. This is Adam Jablin. He's a best-selling author, inspirational keynote speaker, a transformational life coach, and spiritual and recovery mentor. In 2006, Adam got clean and sober. And that is when his gifts came out, his hidden gifts. Adam inspires and teaches those fighting fears, alcoholism, and addictions to unleash their inner hero. And we are going to talk about unleashing your inner hero today. So without further ado, please welcome to the Win All Day podcast show, my main man, the one and only, I see Superman behind you, Adam Jablin. What's up, my guy?
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. I got to tell you, if I didn't know myself, I would be impressed.
Let's go, bro. Hey, I want to jump right in. I'm super excited. Here's what we do know. There's probably people listening right now that don't know who you are, and so I want to catch them up. All right, who is Adam Jablin? Take us back. Tell us a little about the history and what you've been through, what you've accomplished, and how we got to where we are today, man.
Absolutely. So I'll try to summarize it as short and sweet as possible. In 2006, July 14, 2006, I got clean and sober. That was my surrender date. And everything up to that point was typical, childhood. I was the fat kid. Then that just laid such a scar in me and my heart, bro, that I found, Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazine, dedicated my, to train. With the body came the muscles and the athletic skills. Started hanging out with the older kids. They were drinking and drugging. I started experimenting. It fixed something inside of me that I did not know was broken. It just fixed it. Now my insides matched my outsides. I literally just chose a life where it was all about that. I went to Arizona State University because it was the #1 party school in the world, which it was, and I dominated there, and it was sex, drugs, rock and roll. Then I went to a family business, and it was work hard, play hard, but I had these two huge shadows to fill, my father and my grandfather, and drinking was a part of my life, and before I knew it, the disease of alcoholism and addiction took over. I couldn't control it. I couldn't stop it. Weekends, so Saturday and Sunday turned into Saturday, Sunday, Monday night football. Saturday, Sunday, Monday night football turned into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night football, and Thursday night football. And before I knew it, I was also mixing Xanax for anxiety and Ambien to sleep and OxyContin for my injuries. And I just turned into a pharmacist coach. Before I knew it, I was in a rehab center, and that's where my whole life changed. And I started learning what life was really all about and these spiritual principles to live by. And by the way, we had a beautiful prayer before you and I started where we brought God into it. And, for me, God used to be like Tinkerbell. Yeah. Like, okay, so what you like what you say a wish and he sprinkles fairy dust on you and you fly. but it's interesting when you need God, how he shows up. And one day at a time, 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time, I just attacked my recovery. I mean, I attacked it because that's the only way you and I know how to do things, right? It's like an all-in mentality. So there's no other way for me to do it. And coach, this thing just blossomed in me. I had all these gifts and skills I did not know I had. I did not want to be a coach. I did not want to be a public speaker. I did not want to write. I was running the #1 lace company in the world. I was a businessman, but these things were happening inside of me. And I guess you and I would call it a calling, kind of like your story when you were telling me in that car ride, and you made a decision and you told God, that you would change your life forever, and you did. That moment happened to me in rehab. And when we sold our family business, I knew where I wanted to go, and I wanted to help people like me transform their lives. And believe it or not, coach, I work with very, very high successful people that on the outside, it looks like they have everything. They have the wife or the husband and the kids and the pictures of Disney, but they're living the same life every single day, and they're drinking, and they're trying to shut that noise down their head, and they're taking a Xanax to calm down, and an Ambien to sleep, and a Percocet for this. And these are the people that I help free and really ignite that hero within.
Wow, bro. I love it, man. I'm super excited. I'm glad we connected. I feel like it was a divine appointment. And I want to share this really quick because you said a lot of cool things I want to dive into today. One of the things that intrigued me, we connected. I didn't know much about what you did. And you had me on Instagram Live, and I knew it was like transformational coach, life coach, and then I started to dig a little deeper. I got it, connecting with you a little deeper, and I started to see your videos, and you start talking more about addiction and recovery, and I was intrigued by that. And here's why: I grew up with a dad that was an alcoholic and a drug addict, right? And so in our household, we saw a lot of crazy things. And my dad is a beautiful human being. My dad's an amazing man today, right? My dad's an amazing person when he's clean. And now he's been clean 34 years, and he's one of the top drug and alcohol counselors in the state of New Jersey, right? So you talk about a calling, you talk about a purpose. He was able to flip that. But before he got clean, him and my mom got separated, and we saw a lot of crazy things. We saw a lot of things that my dad doesn't even remember when we talk about it today. And so this is a topic that's very close to my heart because I saw what alcohol can do. I just had Ed Milet on the show not too long ago, and we were talking about this because we have a lot of similarities. His dad was an alcoholic. His dad's been clean 34 years, and then he passed away, and he wrote a book about his dad. And so I want to dive into that, man. I want to dive into the actual addiction first. And there's people that are listening and watching right now. And I think the question that I have first, Adam, how do you know when it's an addiction? Because there's people that they're just using alcohol, they're using drugs because they're not happy, they don't have a purpose, they're trying to wash the something away, they're trying to feel a certain way, but it's really not an addiction, maybe, right? And so how do you know when you say this is an addiction? Somebody has an addiction to something.
So can I walk through a couple of stages to make it really clear?
I would love for you to.
Okay, so first, let's say it could be habitual. Right? You have a bad habit, and let's just use wine. So this way we're not using anything too hardcore, right? And you have this habit of having 2 glasses of wine a day at night with your wife, with your husband, because you just want to release the day. And it becomes habitual, and it's an extra 500 calories and this and that. But you don't crave a 3rd glass. You don't wake up thinking about it, right? And you're not dependent on it. You just literally have wrought in a habit the way you and I have with our spiritual life, with our physical life, with our emotional life, the way, you and I, people see us right now, they don't realize we built this person. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Coach didn't come out with those full muscle bellies and you had a journey to become this, and there's work. Well, you could take those actions and do it negatively as well. Have 2 glasses of wine every day, and you're going to get a habit. Then from habitual moments or we're going to go to unhealthy dependencies. So from habitual to an unhealthy dependency. Let me give you an example of what an unhealthy dependency is, let's say for me, right? Because I'm an addict. Coach, I'm the kind of guy that if I get a new supplement, okay, let's say it's vitamin C. and I take it for 7 days in a row, the 8th day, I won't leave the house until I take that vitamin C.
Yeah, yeah.
I can grow a dependency on things very quickly. Now, what that really means is my mind is associating something with an outside substance that is not that it's fulfilling a story for me. Okay, my mind is going, I like that, I need that, this makes me better, right? Just my mind, just my mind. I have an unhealthy dependency on it, right? So it's a little different than a habit, because a habit, that's about, now it's like, okay, my mind's telling me we really want to do this action before this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a dependency. But if I don't take it, nothing bad's going to happen to me. So unhealthy dependency, if I don't take it, nothing bad will happen to me. There's no negative circumstances, nothing. Now let's go to an addiction. An addiction is all consuming, right? It's habitual with the dependency. It's emotional and physical. So I wake up and my mind tells me that I need it. But physically, now my body is literally addicted to it. As in, I've changed the cells within my body to crave it, and I have a mental obsession with it, a twist. So if I don't have that substance, be it sugar, alcohol, a pill, if I don't have it, I start feeling negative consequences. I start feeling detoxing type symptoms, flu-like symptoms, and the mental obsession and twist won't let me go without it. Now, I also know, because I'm a sane human being, that coach doesn't want me taking these things all the time. So I start hiding it and lying about it, right? Because coach knows, like, Adam, you really shouldn't be taking this all the time. Well, I don't want to upset coach. I know it's not the right thing to do, but I feel like I need it. So I store it under the couch. I put it over here. I hide it over there, right? And before you know it, you're hiding, you're lying, you're mentally obsessing about it. You need it, and it starts turning into a whirlwind, just a whirlwind of destruction, because now it's affecting outside. So it's not just affecting you, it's affecting the outside. And that is the greatest way for me to show you what, from a habit to an unhealthy dependency of what I'm telling myself something is, to actually physically, emotionally, and mentally needing something.
Wow. That's powerful, bro. I love it. You dumbed it down. Very simple. I love that. And so what would you say, like, what about the person that's listening right now? I was thinking when you were talking, there's a lot of people that, they have an addiction and they're in denial, right? They say, I don't have a problem. I'm good. I can stop. And I'm like, you can't. Like, you're saying that, but you can't. You are physically, mentally, and emotionally dependent on it. And the person knows. I remember, like, talking to my dad about this. My dad was very adamant when he got clean, like, you need to be very careful with alcohol. Like, it runs in the family. Like, it's a chemical imbalance. And like, you've got to be smart. You have an addictive personality like I have, JC. Like, you've got to understand that. And so I was very aware of it. I was very aware if I was going to have a drink, like 2 drinks, and then like it was done. Like, it's almost a scare thing to me because I do have an addictive personality. But what would you say the person that's like on the other side, that they know they have a problem? They know it's affecting not only them, and it's pulling them away from their calling and their purpose. They know they're hiding. They know they're running. They know they might be lying. And they know it's affecting how they show up. It's affecting their family. It's affecting their career. But they're in denial. And they keep telling themselves, I'm good. I can stop. I don't have a problem. And it became habitual. What would you say to the person listening right now, Adam, that's on the other side, that's in denial?
So, Coach, this is insane that you're asking me this at this moment, because first off, I was captain denial. Captain. So I understand denial better than anybody. But at the same time, and I like sharing this on this platform, especially with you, because I know how much he meant to you. I was just talking to Tony Robbins about this. And one of the things that I'm really good at is when somebody has denial, is at breaking that denial.
Yeah.
And I was telling him that, and Coach, he went like this to me, ready? He went, whoa, it doesn't have to be like that. You can do it with more love and empathy and use different words than breaking. And like, it could be awakening and igniting. And it was so healthy for me to hear, Coach, because I feel like you and I have similar energy. You have more than me, which is great. But I have this thing where I want to help so bad that I'm willing to do anything to help this person that I see it as crack or break that cycle. Or it's just how my mind works, right? Put the bar on my back, right? But in reality, what I'm starting to do now is understand that this denial is it's something for me to use as a conversation. And if I can get into their heart more than breaking that denial, but get into their heart and show them the insanity and show them how they keep repeating the same behavior over and over, right? Forget about that cliche, hey, insanity is expecting doing the same behavior over and over, expecting a different result. Screw that one. That they're doing the same behavior over and over, knowing the result, knowing that this is a vicious cycle, and then kind of cater to their heart rather than their head, and show what's happening with the kids, show what's happening with the business, show what's happening to their wife, and then just let them know I'm them. I'm them. I did it harder. I did it worse. I went to worse places, and I'm you. 16 years down the road, it's actually gotten me better results. So it's interesting. The timing of this question couldn't be more better because it's helping me anchor doing things from more of a loving place than a fireplace. And I'm so comfortable with the fire. It's crazy. I'm still so comfortable with with muscle through it, but I'm having to learn a different approach.
Yeah, I love it. And a lot of times that can depend on the person as well, right? And so how much nurturing does this person need? How much tough love do they need? And so let's get into that for a second. And before I even jump into the next question, I believe there's people listening and watching today that are going to be set free. I honestly believe that through your words, through your story, through your gifting and what you've been able to awaken, right? Since you've been sober and what you've learned and the wisdom you have, I believe there's people listening right now that feel imprisoned because of their addiction. I believe there's people listening right now or watching right now that feel powerless because of their addiction. And I believe that this is a divine appointment and intervention where they're going to hear your words, Adam, and they're going to listen to this podcast or watch this podcast. And I believe it's going to be the actual breakthrough where the impossible becomes possible in their life, where they thought they couldn't break this. This is going to be the episode that has them make a decision. And I want to talk about that for a second because I believe personally, the first thing that you have to have is a decision. And so I want you to take us back there, the time where you said, I know I'm in denial, but I am aware it's a problem and I need some help. And I believe in miracles. I believe in God. I believe miracles can happen. But I think a lot of addicts, they think like you're just going to cold turkey, wake up one day and it's gone. And listen, there's stories like that. My dad is almost like that, but now he's walked out a lot of stuff. And so obviously you've probably had accountability, maybe family involved, people in your corner. You talked about going to rehab. Take us back to there. What was the process? You mentioned God. You mentioned rehab. If maybe family was involved. Like, how did you get to rehab? And how did that decision? What was the recipe? What was the formula? It wasn't a miracle that just said, "Oh, you're clean. You're never going to want to drink again in your life." There's things you had to do. You talked about God. You talked about rehab. Like, give us the equation. What worked for you at that point?
I have 3 distinct stories I could tell you in synchronicity, but I also want to make sure that it's a conversation, so I'm not just rambling, right?
Yeah, go. Do your thing, bro.
So here we go. The first part was when I walked into my intervention. In an intervention, now at the time, I've never seen the show. This is 2006. The show wasn't out. But at the time, it was very humbling because all the people that you love the most have written these letters. They say something so beautiful. Like, Coach, I remember you being a kid and you having Adam. I remember this, and you were all this beautiful stuff. Then, but I know you were bathing your 6-month-old daughter wasted on tequila. I knew you drove with your nephews wasted that night. I know, right? Like, so leveling you with what they know the truth. And then at the end, another loving memory and asking you to get help. And if it's done right, it literally lowers, it just lowers that defensive guard because you're seeing the people that you love the most asking you to get help, with all these memories and this note, like, oh my God, they know. Every alcoholic and addict thinks we have everybody fooled. I thought I had everybody fooled. They don't know what I'm really doing. And everybody knew. So at the end of the intervention, I'll never forget my interventionist. He was alive and just light beaming out of his eyes, coach. Like he was just so, and when he mentioned it's 28 days, I couldn't process it. I couldn't process it. I heard 1 month, that you're going to be away from your life for 1 month. And he just saw me being argumentative, like, who's going to run the family business for 1 month? Who's going to do this for a month? So they had me agree to go for 10 days, 10 days to see if I had this thing. So I go to rehab for 10 days to see if I have this thing. And in my mind, I already set it up like it's jail, which is I got to be on my best behavior, always tell the truth, blah, blah, because that will be my fastest way out. And they'll see nothing's wrong with me. It's my family that's crazy. It's everybody around me that's crazy. When I first meet with my counselor, we're sitting there talking, and we're talking about alcoholism and addiction. And he goes, "Let me ask you something, Adam." He goes, "Have you ever woken up in the morning and sworn to yourself that you wouldn't drink that night, but you ended up drinking anyway?" And I knew I had to be honest, right? I had to get out of there. It's like, all the time. He goes, "Okay, how about this?" He goes, "Have you ever said to yourself, tonight I'll only have 2 or 3, but when you started, you couldn't stop?" And I looked at him, I'm like, every time. He goes, "All right, so now let me ask you a question. If you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm not going to drink that night, but you end up drinking anyway, and then you give yourself permission to drink only 2 or 3, but you can't control the amount you drink, wouldn't you say you're powerless?" So, coach, I looked at him, and it was like, I couldn't see any wiggle room. Like, he moved his pawn, he moved his horse. I was like, checkmate, checkmate. I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm powerless. And then he looked at me, he goes, "Do you think your life is unmanageable?" So I'm sitting there, coach, I'm like combing my beard, thinking about, well, I just got this major program, big business from Victoria's Secrets, and I just got the car I wanted, and I got the big, beautiful house, and I got the hot wife at home, and I have a baby, and I'm like really taking stock of my life, how much money is in the account, and he's looking at me like I'm crazy, and he starts slamming on the desk. He goes, "Adam, you're in rehab." So now take a look at what really was happening. A counselor is asking me while I'm in a rehab center, do I think my life is unmanageable? And I'm taking stock of my life. That's the denial. I couldn't even remember that a day before my family is intervening me to come to this place. Wow. I'm sitting here measuring myself up, comparing, how big my dick is against this guy. I have this much money. He's like, "You're in rehab. Of course your life is unmanageable."
Yeah.
Slowly, it's that armor that I had built started to crack. The next day I meet this guy, coach, named Father Ron Bersha, a Catholic priest. I'm a Jew from Jersey, okay? And I'm sitting with Father Ron, and he asks me if I believe in God. And, like anybody, if a Catholic priest is going to ask if you believe in God, you know that the right thing to say is, yes, of course. But he starts seeing that I'm just faking it, and I'm, law of attraction, and woo, and he's like, okay, calm down. So he goes like this. He goes, "Adam, please stick out your hand." So I stick out my hand, and he goes like this. He puts his fingers on me. He goes, "Do you see what I did there?" So, coach, I look at my arm, and I look at the Father, and I look at my arm. I don't see anything. I'm like, Father, I don't see anything. I'm sorry. He does it again. He goes, "You see what I did this time?" So I look at my arm, I look at the Father. I don't know what to say, coach. I'm like, "Father, I'm Jewish. There may be a disconnect here." He starts laughing. He does it again. He goes, "Boom. Do you see what I did that time on your arm?" Now I'm puzzled. I use humor when I'm uncomfortable. So I'm like, "Father, I heard about you guys touching boys." And he starts laughing, and he turns the lights off, and he puts like a UV light on, right? And there are all these purple glowing fingerprints, right? Purple glowing fingerprints with the UV light. And he goes, and I'm staring at them. And he goes, "Adam, do you think that you could believe in a power that's been all around you that you can't see, taste, touch, none of the 5 basic senses? It's been around you. guiding you, protecting you, and brought you here to me. And I'm looking at these fingerprints glow, and I'm like, coach, I'm like, I can believe. Like for the first time, I could believe, like this Catholic priest took this Jew from Jersey and downloaded him into the matrix. I understood. I understood a power greater than myself. I understood that there's a God around me. And just those 3 small stories, from my intervention to Captain Denial and Adam, you're in rehab, to a priest showing me, like, you and I know this, like anyone watching this, wherever you are right now, the police can come in and see all your fingerprints and all the DNA everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like what we think we know is so minute. There are whales speaking under the ocean. I have no idea how the Zoom thing works. I have, planes are landing from radar sonar. The pilots aren't even looking. There's so much going on that we don't know. And me, Mr. Alcoholic Addict, thinks I know fucking everything. And this was the beginning of this unbelievable journey, Coach. Those 3 stories.
Wow, I love it, man. I love it. So, hey, real quick. So the intervention, just for clarity, did your family orchestrate that and hook that up?
My family orchestrated it.
So would you have ever done that on your own?
Never. Coach, never. And not only that, I would have ridden this thing out to death.
Yeah. And so at the time you were married.
Yeah.
Are you saying your wife?
Yeah. So
your parents, or what?
Yeah. My ex-wife, God bless her, by the way, because this was the best thing she ever did for me. She was really the main source of the intervention, because she got to see what I was doing at home. One of the reasons my marriage didn't work, by the way, it was a beautiful 18-year marriage, is we didn't recover together. What happened was I had conditioned her that I was sick and broken and she was the good one. And as I got healthier, sometimes, if you don't recover together in a marriage, it won't work, because there's a power play there. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I help couples now, Coach, because what happens is the sick person gets well, and now the person that helped them has to realize that person's well, and they have to start growing on this journey together, like growing in their faith together, growing in their family together. But if that old dynamic is still there, it won't work. Either this person will go back to drinking and drugging because it fits the family dynamic, or it separates. Wow. So, I don't look at my divorce and my marriage as a defeat. I look at it as a blessing, because she's the mother of my children. She helped me get sober, but also it now allows me to help couples in recovery.
I love it, bro. I love it. Powerful, powerful. So you had family intervene and set up this intervention, which is powerful. And I think, like, here's the deal. I think there's people listening right now, Adam, that sometimes you need an intervention, even when you're not just nothing about addiction or an alcoholic. Maybe you need an intervention in another area of your life. And sometimes you need people in your life, and we play this role as coaches, and I would ask the person listening or watching right now, who in your life loves you enough and cares about your destiny enough to stop sugarcoating it, so stop telling you what you want to hear, and loves you enough to tell you what you need to hear and say, no, enough's enough. We're going to have an intervention. And maybe it's in a relationship, maybe it's in your health, maybe it's in your business, a career, your calling, maybe it's not even an addiction. But there's people listening right now that I believe you've got to make sure you have people in your corner that care about you enough that if you are powerless, if you are having an addiction, if you know you're losing in an area, to put you in a room to say, we're going to help stop the bleeding because we love you and we're going to find a solution. And so I love that your family intervened. I love that they cared about you enough, because a lot of times you see family enable addicts. I talk about this all the time because I obviously I don't work with addicts. It's not my primary business, but I'm a life coach and people come to me for questions.
Absolutely.
And so I see it all the time, and I go right to the person, the parent. I say, you're the problem. You're enabling the addiction, and you keep giving them money and you keep telling them it's going to be okay. Why would they change?
Absolutely.
And so I want you to talk about after rehab. You get out of rehab, you have this intervention, God becomes a focal point, rehab, people in rehab, the priest. Now you get out of rehab. Are you just a new man and you never craved a drink again? Or what did you have to do at that moment to walk this out? Since 2006, you've walked this out. Listen, there's a lot of people that go to rehab, they get back out, and they go back to the old pattern behavior. Me and my dad talk about this. There's a guy that he's been clean for 30 days and he's like, oh, I'm clean and I'm going to start coaching people. I'm like, whoa, like you need to make sure your life's right. And so what did you do consistently after rehab to walk this out, to make sure that the addiction was not going to be something that became a habitual or repeated pattern in your life?
So coach, one thing, and it was one simple thing had to change in my life. One thing, and it was everything. That was the one, everything had to change. And I mean literally to the mouthwash I used. I had to go to Crest rather than Listerine because Crest had no alcohol in it.
Wow.
Diligent. I went to recovery meetings every single day. I worked with another man to follow simple steps, simple guidelines to find my way out, right? And like going to the way you and I built our bodies, built our careers, but right, it was the little things that you do every day that build up. So starting in the morning with a prayer, starting to learn meditation, going to a recovery meeting, calling somebody else that has a similar disease, being open and honest. I actually also went for outside help and went to therapy because I had some wiring that was still a little off and screwy from my younger days. So I was going to therapy once a week. Looking at church, looking at synagogue. I'm not saying I was devout right away, but I had to start opening my mind, reading the proper books, ending the night with a prayer, saying thank you, right? And look, I remember coming home, coach. God, I remember this like yesterday. I remember coming home from 30 days of treatment, and my ex-wife comes into the bedroom and she sees me praying, right? I'm on my knees praying. And she looked at me like, oh shit, like, oh God, now he's this. Like 30 days ago, I'm pounding Patron tequila, center of attention maniac. And now I'm this guy, right? Now I'm praying on a bed, you know what I mean? But what happened was when you do these actions one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, over the months, she started asking me, will you pray for so-and-so? Will you, because what happens, they start seeing this power, this entity, this thing that you and I call God, spirit, that start working in our lives. But, it wasn't like the first day at the gym, you look like this. And it wasn't like the first day at the gym, I look like this. It took, and the same thing with my spiritual fitness. It took every day to really become the man that I am today. I wish I could, did I ever crave it? No. Somehow the craving and the obsession of alcohol and drugs was removed. I really can't, the only thing I could say is that's a miracle.
Wow.
But coach, the thought of it, right? The euphoric recall of it, that would come back. So if I was with you and you and I were at the Dolphins game and blah, 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 there would be a part of my brain that would be like, an ice cold note of light would be cool to have with coach right now. It's a thought. It wasn't an obsession and it wasn't a craving. It was just a thought, right? Like some people may want a piece of chocolate cake, but that needing it, gone.
Powerful, so powerful, man. I love what you said. Like I changed everything. Like you've got to become a little radical and obsessed. And I'm thinking of my dad while you're saying this. I'm like, he changed his environment. He wouldn't be around alcohol. He did very similar stuff. And so my point and what I want to get to right now is, what would you say is the correlation between people craving the alcohol, searching for significance or purpose in a bottle, right? And because I think the person that relapsed, right, is it a chemical thing, right? We could talk about that a little, but is it also that I don't have something to live for? Like I've looked at this a lot and said, is it really a chemical thing? Or is it, now I see my dad now, he has a purpose. Like he's helping liberate and set other people free. What would you say the correlation is between purpose and having a purpose, a strong why, a reason to live for that excites you in life? And now you're like, I have something else that's more important than a drink or a vice. Or like, do you feel like there's a correlation there at all?
Coach, not only do I feel there's a correlation, a lot of times when I'm speaking to a client or a potential family or whatnot, I make it less personal. I'll use Michael Jordan a lot with everything that you just spoke. Like, you spoke so beautifully that I wish you were with me with the families, honestly. Because when you were saying enabling and, you know, Coach Phil Jackson, so let's use Michael Jordan because it's less sensitive. And then I'm going to bring it to alcoholism and addiction. Coach Phil Jackson came to him, they fired the old coach. Here comes Coach Phil Jackson and says, listen, we're going to run a different offense. You're going to score less. You're not going to be the scoring leader, I don't believe, anymore. We're going to have you share the ball, okay? Because what's happening is we're going against Detroit Pistons, and they know where the ball is, and they know to focus on you, right? And now a new coach could have come in, could have not been Coach JC or Adam or Phil Jackson. It could have been a people pleaser and an enabler that said, Michael, I just want you happy. We'll just keep going back to the conference. Just keep handing him the ball, feeding the ego, feeding the ego. Let him sell more shoes. But no, he broke the pattern. And Michael still said, well, I think I could still be the scoring leader. So he started working with him, collaborating with him. Okay, you can still be the scoring leader, but we need to distribute the ball. And little by slowly got him to trust his teammates and get into a higher purpose where it wasn't just the scoring leader and it wasn't just a slam dunk competition. It was winning the title.
Yeah.
It was winning. So he had a different vision now, right? It was about everybody becoming better. Yes, he still might, and that's how he became what's arguably, not for me, but arguably the greatest of all time. I take that scenario and I show that to my potential clients going, look, it's the small changes. I'm not asking you not to be Michael. You're still going to be you. I'm not taking you out of your business. You're still going to be the best mommy or daddy, but we're going to change the small things for the greater goal. And yes, your why will not just be, so I'm not, so I don't come home at night and have my vice. You're going to be serving a deeper purpose, a bigger purpose. And our job together is to get that mission statement and purpose. I can't make everybody into Coach JC and Adam. Not everybody wants to serve humanity that way, but it could still be a little bigger. It could be the family dynamic. It could be the family in the company. It could be just the kids, as long as it's out of this, right? Out of this and into something bigger, like you said, I got him.
Wow, I love it. And so, for the record, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm glad we're in agreement about that because I'm an Italian from Jersey. You're a Jew from Jersey, and we don't need to argue about Michael Jordan.
God bless you. God bless you.
Man, you know what? Something you just said when you were talking that I think is a very big struggle for people. Michael Jordan at that time, and then the addict. Like when you're asking them to change those things, it's almost like you're screwing with their identity. And I'm like this. You know a little of my story and what I went through, and I'm very big on running the right plays and stacking wins and identity and purpose and vision and all that stuff. But think about identity. How many people that are addicted to something, it's now become a part of who they are, and that's a big thing that you have to break. I had to cut ties, not with being an addict, but my past mistakes. And there's a lot of people that they make mistakes and now they live in that guilt and that shame and they don't see a way out. It's become part of their subconscious mind and their identity. And so I want you to talk about that for a second, because I believe there's people listening right now, Adam, that their identity has been in, I'm an alcoholic. And so I'm going to speak to that person right now before I hand it over to you and let them know you are not in your past mistakes. You are not your past mistakes. You're not that doesn't define you. Your identity is not in that. And so I found my identity and shifted and created Coach JC and cut ties with this old identity, which is a story that I choose to believe. And so what would you say is the correlation in working with an individual that's listening right now saying, yeah, my identity is in being an alcoholic. I keep going back to the same thing. It's part of who I am. And now you're trying to take that away from me. I don't even know who I am outside of that, Adam. What would you say? What would you say to that person? Because that is hard.
It's hard because I would let them know I understand. I'm you. I'm you. I remember the first time I said, I'm an alcoholic and an addict. The first time, it was like a 600-pound gorilla jumped off my shoulders, and everything made sense. Coach, you ever seen the movie The Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember at the very end, he realizes he's dead, and then the whole movie makes sense?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, this is why a kid that sees dead people is talking to me. This is why my wife, who we have no real conversation at the dinner table because I'm dead. He realizes he's dead, and the whole movie makes sense. Well, when I said I'm an alcoholic and an addict, my whole life made sense. Oh, this is why I went to Arizona State University. This is why I got a DUI. This is why I wrote my ex-wife 30 letters that I'll stop drinking and everything. But then with that split second, Coach, a split second from a leap went to now what? How do I watch football with my dad? How do I go out at night? Right?
Wow.
So that thing about identity is huge. So what I let them know is it's everything we've discussed before. This is your reality right now, but there is a higher reality.
Yep.
There's a higher reality going on.
Yep.
And my job, my mission is to point you in that direction and show you just how sweet life is without this stuff.
Wow.
How good it can get. It's going to get so sweet. It's like you could die of a diabetic coma. It's that sweet.
Wow.
Right? So there's a higher reality going on, but I need them to understand that I identify. I know what it's like when your whole identity is revolved around, well, I drink with my friends, we drink at a football game, and we did it like I was you. But you have no idea how much sweeter is on the other side. And we start writing that new identity, but very similar to a Clark Kent Superman thing. You're still the same person. You know, it's not a brand like Coach JC was still Coach. When I heard your story, which I loved, and I was crying, if you remember, you were still JC. You know what I mean? You felt your power for the first time. So it was like Superman was coming out. That's what I try to do with my clients. It's not a new person. It's bringing that power out. Saying, take the glasses off. No more Clark Kent. No more, gee shucks, Lois. Let's show them what you got.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's what you do. And that's your brand. Like you're teaching individuals the way to become the hero of their own lives. And so let's talk about that for a few moments. You know, I think, you know, a powerful thing is you look at Superman. We all want to be Superman, right? Growing up. And so I think we spend a lot of time as men trying to attempt to be Superman. How do I be Superman? How do I keep showing up for everybody and be everything? How do I make the money? How do I have the business? How do I have career? How do I have the body? I have all this. And I see a lot of men just tap out. And so I think trying to appear invulnerable, having no weaknesses, right, is what will make us weak, right? And so talk about the brand in what you're doing now and people, you know, becoming the hero of their own lives. What does that mean? How'd you come up with the brand and why is that important? And how does it correlate for an addict in breaking addictions?
Can I just tell you how much I love you, bro? You're the first person to catch on, to ever say what you just said with Superman. Most people, if you say what's Superman's weakness, they're going to tell you kryptonite. That's not it. Superman's greatest weakness in every story was you put Lois Lane here and you put a bomb in Metropolis here and you say choose. Superman can't be two places at once. He always beats the kryptonite. He'll always get around the kryptonite. He can't be two places at once, which is why I feel like guys like you and I identify with Superman. We can't people please. You have to make a decision. You have to be sound in that decision. And whatever outcome happens, that's how you grow in life. That's how you grow. I feel like there's a hero within every single one of us. And I always identify with superheroes, and you know what I mean? And so when it was time to start my company, it just came out naturally. And there is such a thing with Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey. What I love about that, and so let's say alcoholism, addiction, superheroes, the hero's journey is you always take the main character and there's a calling, there's a call to action. They don't know exactly what's wrong, but something is wrong. So it could be alcoholism, it could be addiction, it could be I want to be in the stars somewhere, I feel weird on this planet. It could be I feel something bigger. What is the matrix? It could be my dad opened Stark Agency. I know I'm supposed to be more than just this pimp playboy, but there's always a call to something more, right? Luke Skywalker just looking into the galaxy, like Clark Kent not knowing that he's from another planet. Not why can't I play with the other kids? I'll break them. Like they feel lost inside. Same with Bruce Wayne. He's an orphan, right? Then there's this call to action. They go on this journey where they start learning skills of who they really are and what they can become and what this life is all about. And when they start realizing these life lessons, they start realizing that they've been living a shadow of themselves, right? Just a shadow, every single person. You know what I mean? You thought you were Mr. Anderson, but you're really Neo. But this guy thinks you're the one, but you don't think you're the one. And you go see this oracle and everything is different now, but it's the same. And you go into this. So all these characters are learning these unbelievable lessons. But then eventually each person has to face the demon. They have to face it. So if you're facing Darth Vader, if you're facing, the agent, if you're facing the bad guy, if you're facing alcoholism and addiction, you have to face that thing that's stopping you. But what I love about a hero is that they always come home. That's why I love heroes, because the hero always comes home and shares the good news with everybody that they had. They don't just change and not see anybody anymore. They don't change and go live someplace else. They come home and live amongst their brothers and sisters and show them how to go on their hero's journey, how they can learn the force, so what I love about becoming a hero is that you go on this journey of discovery, you overcome these demons, you overcome these deficiencies, and you come home, coach, a better version of you.
Love it.
That's why I love a hero.
Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I think a lot of times you hear the word hero when you think of like somebody you look up to, a role model. You think of, an athlete. We part of my story and the interaction I had with a police officer. And so we run a nonprofit because of that since 2015 called Fit First Responders, Fit for Duty, Fit for Life. And we work with over 4,000 first responders and our military and veterans. And so a lot of times you could call these guys heroes, and I view them as heroes. They're protecting our streets and keeping our country safe. But a lot of times that's hard for them to take and hear that. And as I've worked with them, I realized why. I realized because behind closed doors, they don't view themselves as that. And so they're dealing with vices, addictions, all these things that we don't realize as first responders and veterans and military. And they're like, man, you're calling me a hero because you see me put a badge on, but that badge is really not my identity. I'm seeing myself as something different than you see me, and perception creates reality. And so I love that you went there, bro. I could talk to you all day. I love who you are,
hey,
bro.
Coach, by the way, I see an outer layer to that, right? Because what I see is you're the hero. That happened with the law enforcement. And then you had this calling that you started this nonprofit to give back to other so that was a small part of your hero's journey, because you're coaching people, you're helping people. The podcast, I mean, I think that since we met on social, I have become a loyal Coach JC fan and advocate. And by the way, the first piece of content I saw was you on stage. I thought it may have been at a church, but you may have been speaking about your dad. Speaking about your dad. That was the very piece of content I saw. So it's interesting when you start really looking at a hero's journey, and for somebody to have that moment with law enforcement and then to do everything you've done to give back to law enforcement, and you seeing them as the hero. What's so funny is I see you as the hero, and that's how this thing goes. There's this outer ring and another outer ring and another outer ring, and we just keep growth, contribution. You and I, we get off on that. Other people, they see the outside and they're like, no, you guys are about significance. No, we have this to attract you, okay? We have this because it makes us feel good, but it doesn't make us feel that significant anymore. As a matter of fact, we wake up with this every day. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's about this is the vessel to give us more energy to serve you.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. So let's do this. I could talk to you all day. I want to respect your time. What we're talking about winning all day. That's what this podcast is about. It's not about, winning or losing. It's about you, similar to what you're saying about being a hero, is it's about you being your best. It's about you looking in the mirror and loving what you see. It's about you walking out your calling and your purpose. It's about you showing up and stacking wins based around calling and vision and purpose. And so what does Adam do? We're big on routines and habits and rituals. And so give us some of the things that Adam does on a daily basis that he's put in place to build the best version of him so that he can then go and make the impact he's making. What are some of the things you do on a daily basis to win and win all day?
All right, Coach, thanks for asking me this. You're catching me at a place of growth, okay? I want you to know I am very comfortable. I think you'll identify with this, being a robot. I thrive on that shit. Something in me thrives on waking up at a certain time, having a ritual. Like, I just eat it up. And I'm being pushed into this new area of growth where I'm not allowed to have all that certainty. Because I love certainty. I love control. I love knowing the meals I'm going to have. I love knowing where I'm going to train. I love knowing when I'm going to have my clients. I love knowing what's incoming without. I love control and so no matter what, every day, I meditate for 20 minutes. I pray and I thank God. I exercise and train. So in some capacity, right? You once said it. I thought the way you worded it was great. I want to be able to steal it. But even if exercise that day is just an hour walk, I exercise every day. Most of the time, it's training.
Yeah.
I pray 3 times a day, and I make sure I help another alcoholic and addict, and I stay in constant contact with my children to let them know I love them. Oh, and I let one person know every day outside that I love them.
Love it.
Right? And the reason I'm admitting this to you is because if you would have asked me 6 months ago, I would have let you know that I wake up at 5 to 5:30 in the morning. Coach, I think someone like you and I would have loved the Navy SEALs. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love certainty and drills and I just get off on it. And being pushed into this new area of growth where I may jump on a plane without, it is so uncomfortable for me, but I'm growing so much as a person. But those are the things that I have to do. So my meditation, my prayer, my daily exercise for the vessel, telling people I love them, my children, helping another person, and I journal every day. I journal every single day, and I make sure that I give the glory to him. Because there is that part, I think it's us people as with what you and I do as a profession, where sometimes I get so happy and I feel so good. I have to remember I didn't do this. You know what I mean? I didn't, because I love that feeling.
Yeah.
I love that feeling. But if I get addicted to that feeling, then when somebody fails, I take that on. I'm not responsible for their success. And I'm not responsible for their failure. I just have to show up as Adam every day and let him be the vessel. And that's really important for me to say out loud.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's a missing component to a lot of men winning, right? I talk about this all the time. We have our winning 5. We stack wins. We're big on habits and rituals because in my own life, I didn't have that stuff. And I realized I was just making decisions based off of feelings and emotions. And when you make decisions based off of feelings and emotions, a lot of times that's when we do things that are comfortable, right? And so I figured out that a lot of guys, they just go into the day sleepwalking, man. They don't know what plays to run, right? As an athlete, you don't go into a game and just run around. You have X's and O's. And so I always tell guys like, hey, you need to have rituals, you need to have routines, but the secret formula is don't leave God out of that. Don't leave God out of the equation, right? I'm all about having it all. I want to have the calling, the purpose. I want to be fulfilled. I want to make the impact. I want to have the great marriage. I want to be an amazing husband, a dad. I want to do all the things. I want to look good, feel good, perform good. I want to be that. But at the same time, anytime where you feel like you're leaving God out of it, it's a formula for losing. And so what can you do in the natural, right? And then what can you do with linking up with God in the spiritual? And I believe that's a formula for supernatural in your life. Spiritual plus natural, right? So I love that you said that, because as men, we could grind all day and sometimes things can feel like they're not working out. We could try to break the addiction all day and feel like it's not working out. But again, even when we're talking about addictions, I believe there's power in the word of God. I believe there's power when you link up, right, and you're led and you believe that, hey, you know what? I have a purpose. I have a calling. It's not just about me. I'm breaking this addiction because just like Adam, there's people on the other side, and my story and my testimony is going to help change the lives of other people. You start to show up differently, man. So I'm glad you said that. Adam, what would you say at the conclusion of the show, man? Is there anything that we didn't talk about? I tried to throw a lot in there today. Obviously,
oh no, Cole, you nailed it. You know what I was just thinking is, if anyone has a similar mindset to me, there's something about the way you speak that opens me up. I'm somebody that can get addicted to the treasure map and not the treasure, right? I can get addicted to my routine. And that's why I wanted to bring up this growth cycle that I'm in with you now, Coach. Because I can lean into you to be like, this is really uncomfortable for me. Yeah. I mean, I can get addicted to the treasure map. It's really interesting to see how I'm wired, you know? But it's the treasure. I really should be like, it's the treasure on the other side. So this show came at the right time, because you're somebody I could share with that understands. You know, when you're changing your routine, it feels weird. Man. Yeah. It feels weird.
Well, and here's the thing too, don't forget, like the person, listen, perspective's everything, right? Yeah. And so for you right now, you're exactly in the season that Adam needs to be in for growth. And a lot of times we can get too comfortable in a routine. And when we get comfortable, we can get complacent. And when you get complacent, it steals your calling. And so where Adam's going, right, doing big things, you're going to do it, bro. You haven't even seen what is about to happen in your life yet. The impact you're about to make, the things that you're about to do on the other side. I believe that this is a season of winning for you. And part of you winning throughout this season is you being stretched so that you can even dig deeper and tap into some of the untapped potential that you didn't even realize you have. The big man upstairs saying, Adam, I'm pushing you. I'm going to stretch you. I don't want you too comfortable, because when you get too comfortable, you get complacent. And I'm calling you to greatness. And so I believe you're exactly in the season you need to be in. And I believe that every single day when you wake up, just be grateful and thankful that I'm in this season for a purpose. I may not understand it all right now, but it's the exact season I need to be in. And I get to be in this season. Oh, it's uncomfortable, but I welcome the uncomfortability, because that's where I'm going to grow. And I believe that's in the season you're in, brother. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Amen, Coach. Amen. Thank you.
So do this, man.
On everything, man. I just enjoy talking to you.
I love it, bro. Well, let's do this. I know there's people listening that are going to need more, and I think there's a lot of good things. I was thinking about even how we can bring you in the nonprofit side to help some of these first responders and veterans, and with your specialty of breaking addictions and recovery. And so, if somebody's on the other side and they say, I need more Adam in my life, man. I need an intervention. I feel powerless. I know I've been struggling with this denial and my mental side, my emotions, my physical. I've been chemically dependent on something, and I've been hiding. I've been lying, or I might be just, I'm not fully in yet, but I feel like I'm going that route, and it's starting to affect who I am, my identity. It's starting to affect my calling, my purpose, and it's starting to affect the people I love. And I'm not authentically me, because there's something in my life that's holding me back, and I want to break it. I'm not able to do it on my own, but I might love to reach out to somebody in confidentiality and get some help. Maybe you're the solution. And I believe that's why we did this actual podcast. So how could somebody find you and get in touch with you if they needed to utilize your services so that they could take the power back in their life and you could help them become the hero that they were born to be?
Thank you, Coach. They can find me at my name, Adam Jablin, on all of the social media platforms, right? So Adam Jablin on Instagram, Adam Jablin on Facebook, Adam Jablin on LinkedIn, all those social media. And either me or someone from my team will get back to you immediately.
Love it. And guys, you could always hit me up as well, message me, and I can put you in touch with Adam if you forget anything that he just said. Hey, do you have a program? Is it coaching? Like, how do you help somebody? Is it one-on-one coaching? Is it group coaching? Is it, how do you do that?
Yeah, so it's great. Thank you for asking. So we just are opening up the Hero League, which is going to be group coaching. We're going to do it once a week for $50 a month, right? And we all come in, we do a quick 20-minute lead, then we all share then do a 20-minute ending. I'm so excited for this format, bro. It's super excited. And I do have different group coach, different one-on-one coaching. The number one I do is the Hero Project, but no matter what it is, it's igniting the hero within. All different programs I can find on my website. It could be anywhere from one call to literally 3 months of one-on-one coaching with me, where we find from the causes and conditions to the future they want to be, and we backtrack it to make sure they get to their goal.
I love it. And you put them in a community, which is super powerful, having a community. Hey, tell them the website one more time.
Yeah, AdamJablin.com.
Jablin, correct?
Yes, sir.
My
Yes.
Jewish brother from Jersey, baby.
Yeehaw!
My man. Hey, listen, we like to end every show this way, man, because I believe everybody is a winner. I believe everybody was born a winner. I believe everybody can win. And so I would love for you to end the show with saying, I am Adam Jablin. I am a winner. I will win and win all day. If you could do that. I am Adam Jablin. I am a winner. I will win and win all day.
I am Adam Jablin. I am a winner. I will win and win all day.
Yes, you are, brother. Adam Jablin, we're grateful. Thank you for sowing the seed into the Win All Day family and audience. If you are listening, man, we got blessed today. And so if you're struggling, if you need help with anything, reach out to me, reach out to Adam. We would love to help you. Hey, that concludes our show in this episode with the man, the myth, the one and only, one of my heroes, Adam Jablin. Thanks again, brother. And I want to remind you one last time, you were born a winner. So go win and win all day.